Okay, so we are live here, and I am totally winging it. I want to try to bring up a graphic for you if I can. This is live Bill Huston podcast, and that is a picture over there of Eric Francis Capolino. Am I saying that right, Eric?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we're going to talk about this kind of amazing thing that happened. It was because I do a lot of this kind of work, but sometimes, I mean, this one kind of blew up kind of big, and it's kind of I think you tell me you think this is a big thing, right?
Bill, this is the best story of the year, in my opinion, because first of all, it was a genius move to ask the state health department for their data on masks. That's what you did. They claim to be scientists. They're making a claim that their assertion, their imposition on the human race is based in science. And you said, okay, where's your data? And they said, so this is huge. I love this story for several reasons. One is it is understandable. It is comprehensible to anyone that the department that claims it has a scientific basis for making people do something doesn't have one. Anyone can understand this. And the other thing I love about this story is that it is an exercise of democracy. You know, the nation law, which is called the FOIL in New York State, is a real thing that citizens are supposed to have, so citizens have some power, and the government doesn't have all the power. And you have to, think to use it. It takes a little bit of skill. You have to ask the right thing. And then there always seems to be that element of luck, I think. You got it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I do a lot of these FOIL requests, but this one kind of hit it. So can I just say you kind of summarized it. So basically let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. I asked the New York State Department of Health for a simple thing. It's called a FOIL. What's that?
We forgot to explain this.
Well, you did. You said it. I think you said it. Okay. I think you said it. Table. Okay. I'm sorry. Your audio was. Let me hear your voice.
How's that?
Oh boy. So you were kind of like muted a little bit. You were just coming through my mic. I'm sorry. Your audio just improved for the listeners. So thank you for joining us here. So you did kind of say it, but I just want to go into a little bit more. I'll just say it because it's a short little, if I can just read it. So let me see if I can.
Yeah, you made a request to the State Department of Health for their records. It's the standard one-line letter, basically, right? It's like a short paragraph.
It's a short paragraph, yep. And so all I said was I want to see all of your records, which talk about the efficacy, pro or con, of wearing masks or face coverings by the general public as an effective method for stopping the spread of infectious disease, such as influenza or COVID-19. Just tell me all of your data that it's effective, and then the other is it safe? So I want to see all safety risks associated or documents that concern safety risks associated with the long-term wearing of masks or face coverings by asymptomatic or healthy people. And what they said was, and I know you've done a lot of FOILs in the past, there's some standard responses that you can get. This is one of them. Mm-hmm. They said, please be advised that after conducting a diligent search, no records responsive to your request have been located.
I love that word.
Isn't that great?
Not just any search. We didn't just look. We looked diligently. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, there's somebody in that office is a fair-minded person with a brain.
I can't believe they let. I mean, this was signed by their. There's an attorney that's in charge. The FOIL access officer signed this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
she knew Rosemary Hewig. So big attorney within the DOH signed off on this. So cat's out of. I mean, this. It's a bad look. It's what we call a bad look.
Bad look, and it's going to inspire people in other states to do it. I think this just like if you're listening wherever you are, let's say you're in Tennessee, for example, why not write to your health department? Any place you are, Texas, whatever, same thing. Basically, they all have the same procedure, and you write to the records access officer. You'll find it on the website, and have a go.
It's true.
It's amazing.
It's true. And it's like you can do this for many different kinds of levels of state and local government. You can foil agencies involved with like the DOH here, or it could be the DEC, some kind of an environmental protection organization. And so, like you said sometimes you hit them. This was a hit. This was this
in the opposite way, because they're saying nope, and this letter is written such that you get the hint. The word diligent means they're like, nope, nothing here. And I think it galls a lot of these career professionals in these departments who are experts in their fields, who serve the government, to hear the politicians lying about what they know the truth about.
I know. Can you hear me still?
Yep.
I know. It's like this is. There's so much wrong with this official narrative, and it just takes people. My question is, Eric. I mean, you're a journalist. You've worked as a journalist. I mean, why? I've been blocked or banned or different things, different kinds of censorship by several big name journalists over this. They've blocked me, or one guy asked that I be banned from a mailing list. This was really early on, before anybody knew anything about this stuff.
Who's an example? Can you say who?
Oh,
what level
Eric, these are big. These are. I almost don't want to say. I mean, all right. So one is this big environmentalist dude. I've known this guy for a long time too. Steve Horn. He's a great guy. He does a lot of great work. He's really well known in the.
Where does he write for?
He writes for stuff like DeSmog Blog and different things. He used to be with the Center for Media and Democracy, which they do some amazing work. They were the people that did the what is the group that the ALEC Exposed. He comes from the people that did that. And then the other guy is this another big name.
ALEC, we should say what that is. ALEC were this think tank that was writing all these draconian conservative laws in over the past 20 years. Real bullshit, real stuff that should not be law. They were writing laws that had no business being in, and they were cookie cutter stamped. I can't think of an example of one now, but you'll find one, and they're just not good.
Well, it's like they do all kinds of things. They do all kinds of laws about every topic. Gun control. It's like because they're basically an industry lobby organization, this mega lobby, because they cover everything, every kind of companies that pollute water supplies, just everything. And
so they essentially write these licenses in the form of legislation that then gets passed.
It could be licenses, or it's weakening, environmental regulations, or weakening regulations on, workers, working conditions, like OSHA kind of stuff. Everything.
Yep. Okay, so that was what brought you up to ALEC? That this guy Steve Horn. No, wait. Who worked for ALEC?
No, you're right. You got it.
Okay, so Steve Horn has got a good track record, but he dissed you because you were questioning COVID.
He major dissed me because I was asking questions about COVID, which I just thought was really weird. I'm like, You're a journalist, aren't? I thought journalists were all about asking questions and fact checking official sources, that kind of thing. It's like I just thought it was so odd. It's like it's like he was obeying some kind of script or something. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. All right, I hope I got your
We need
name
to
right.
make up a satirical organization that's like part of the United Nations that like bosses journalists around, like the World Health Organization. Only like we'll call it the WJO, and we'll have like a quill pen as like a logo, and then the leaf so it'll look like the UN.
Yeah.
And we'll make up a fake memo. Like I like doing pranks like this, like satires like this for things. And like have a letter. We'll find the one written to Rachel Maddow personally that said, "From now on, we're in charge. Your producer no longer is your boss. We're your boss."
I can't figure it out because these Steve Horn and this other guy. I'm going to say his name. This is like you know.
Say it.
So his name is Josh Probanik, and he's with some kind of an outfit called Public Herald, and he's like real. I mean, they have a super nice website, super slick, and they do really good investigative work. There's nothing wrong with their work, but for some reason he gets really triggered by me sometimes. This is like the second time he's kind of gone off on me. But there was this list, there was an email list. It was like called Law PA or something like that. And it was like based in the Pittsburgh area, and it was like people that were working on different things having to do with, fracking, I think, like environmental work. And he advocated that because I brought up, I forget what it was. I could look it up, but he basically advocated that I be banned from the email list for asking like journalistic kind of questions about. So I was like, I can't, what's up with that? Help me understand a journalist that would advocate that somebody gets banned from something. It's hard.
Me. You're asking the wrong guy. This makes no sense to me either, at all. Look, it's obviously, the word brainwashing gets used maybe a little bit too much, but there is such a thing.
Eric, before we go on, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and this is what we're seeing.
Before we talk about brainwashing, I think it's a great topic, but can you just like briefly introduce yourself? Like, first of all, what is your background? You're you got a journalistic background, but you're also an astrologer, but now you're doing this amazing work on COVID. So can you just talk about those things for just a couple of minutes?
I'm the editor of planetwaves.net, which is a broad interest website, and the host of Planet Waves FM. So there's two facets mainly. There's a website with written and photographic, and then there's a radio program that's similar content, different spin. And I am an astrologer. I've written horoscope columns for 25 years all over the world in different magazines and websites, everything from tabloid newspapers in London to the Daily News. Magazines like Harper's and Flaunt and things like this, and before that, for a long time, I did environmental investigative reporting, mainly on the chemical industry.
Awesome.
PCBs is my specialty. Polychlorinated biphenyls. It's one branch of chemical industry production from like the early 20th century through around they stopped making the shit in the late 70s, but it stayed in place in a lot of places, so the issue remained alive clear into the 21st century and still is an issue. So I specialized in this one chemical class, which has many cousins, dioxins, dibenzofurans, herbicides. So I did work on those. And documented the history of these chemicals contaminating the world. So that was my journalism career, and then I got to a point where I just had enough, and stopped doing that as a full-time thing and wrote a horoscope column and found success writing a horoscope column, and then gradually brought the investigative reporting into my work as an astrologer, doing a lot of journalism journalism pieces about the charts of events in the history. And then I evolved, and now I do lots of stuff on Planet Waves with no astrology at all, or I blend in a little bit. So basically, though, it's all about the topic. And yeah, COVID's a huge story. I certainly didn't wake up on New Year's Day thinking, oh, I'm going to write about a virus this year. Who knew? Well, a lot of people. Actually, Bill, there has to be an article or something called Who Knew?
It's kind of like, right. It's the
right?
it's
Who
the
knew?
It's epidemiology was the last thing I thought that I'd be thinking about this year. I didn't, I have no interest in epidemiology, or had none up until now, up until it
But now, it's amazing, right?
I kind of taught myself, I gave myself the 101 kind of treatment of epidemiology. It's amazing what I found. I did a video about it. It was banned by YouTube. It was deleted within 24 hours of it being posted.
Oh, do you still have the audio of that?
Well,
you still have the file?
Yeah, you can see the whole thing on BitChute.
Great. Great. Would you please send that sometime soon?
Yeah, BitChute and archive.org. You can find the links on Bill Huston podcast blog.
Do you have an account on archive.org?
I do, yes.
So you can just archive your own stuff on your account and then it stays in there?
Yes.
That's brilliant. I recently figured that out, but I'm confirming it now for the first time.
They're one of the most amazing and also as yet uncorrupted resources on the internet. I hope people that have money give generously to the Internet Archive. That's an amazing operation, and it's come in so handy for me with archive.org. Here's an example where I used it. So one of my studies was the fact of, COVID-19. When was that? COVID-19 was February 11th, 2020. Tedros Adhanom, I don't know how to say his last name, but Tedros Adhanom, he's the head of WHO. He did a press conference. He said COVID-19. He declared that COVID-19 was some brand new disease. Only you have to go through a certain process to get there. Wait, I lost my train of thought now. It's like there was one piece of this I wanted to. So anyway, COVID-19. I forgot where I was going with this.
First of all, it's a complete fabrication. It doesn't really exist. Nobody knows what it is.
Right. So right. And maybe this is what I was going to ask you too. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your research on the PCR test, because that gets right into the question of what is it, right?
Well, the PCR, I think, is the center of the cyclone here, because everything comes back to the test. There's no part of the entire coronavirus or COVID or pandemic or lockdown or anything that does not come back to the test. So the test, the polymerase chain reaction, the test being used to drive the case count, is the linchpin of the entire scenario.
And it's completely it's unreliable, right? It's totally unreliable.
It's not that it's unreliable. It is a work of fiction. It's not that it's unreliable. It is that being used, and it had a flaw, but the flaw has been exploited as the purpose. This is what's been going on.
The flaw. Explain that.
The flaw was that the test could create a pseudo-epidemic because it could, if somehow misused or misprogrammed, it could return 100% false positives.
Yeah.
By that I mean that 100%, it declared a certain number of cases of a disease, and then when a second verification was used, a lab culture to find to see if there actually was any. There were none. So it was, I believe, 142 cases of pertussis at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical School in 2006. And when a second test was used to confirm the polymerase chain reaction, and mind you, this caused a huge disturbance at a very large medical school. And when they did the confirmatory test of a lab culture, which you could because it was a bacteria, it came back no cases. And so this was a known property of the PCR, and there were other known properties. For example, it can't search for live virus. Everyone knows that. It can't search for whole virus. Everyone knows that. It can't diagnose an infection. Everyone knows that. And it can't tell if a person is in any way sick. So it is medically and epidemiologically useless, but it is politically very useful.
Wait. Slow down.
Okay.
Because what you just said was, I mean, it's like the brake. I should hear the sound of like brake, like a freight train with the brakes in emergency stop, like. Like, wait a minute. What did you say? PCR, it cannot search for a live virus. And then you said something else.
It cannot search for a live virus. It cannot search for whole virus.
Whole virus.
It can't. No. Tiny fragments.
Yeah.
Tiny fragments.
And
so it can't tell whether it's alive. It can't tell if there's viable. It can't tell whether there's an infection.
Wait, that's
can't tell if there's a disease.
There it is. Can't tell if you're infected. Can't tell if you have a disease. WTF. I want to write WTF in with an airplane with the smoke letters. What do you call that? Skywriting. WTF.
Skywriting, yeah.
WTF. Because then they don't have case numbers. Then you can't even talk about a COVID. If you don't have a test, Eric, you cannot talk about a COVID death. You can't talk about a COVID case. You can't talk about any of that stuff. It's just, you might as well be talking about, we've got 10,000 people that have, flib flab Mickey Mouse disease. Just some gibberish. Just make up Glab Snorb syndrome.
Yeah. Right. all because you have a penny in your pocket. That's essentially what the polymerase chain reaction is saying. It's saying, oh, you have a penny in your pocket, therefore you're a bank robber. Oh, really? On what logic? Well, there's pennies in banks.
And Kerry Mullis said that. Kerry Mullis said in that famous interview that's getting shares around on YouTube, he said the results are in some way inferred.
Yes, it's a secondary test. It's an inference test. And there's ways to work it more honestly and less honestly. There's ways. The test has a set of the device, it's not a test, has a set of protocols. If you follow them, it's amazing. But if you violate the rules, you can basically claim anything you want. So not only can it not do any of these things, it is said to. That's the important thing. And I think that's the important part of your FOIL request, is because it cracked the edifice of scientific backing to a claim. So the medium is the message, right? You showed that their claim that masks protect people and are safe is baseless in science. And you also showed that a major claim of any kind is baseless in science. Now let's check them all. And such a big deal has been made about masks. That's really the outrage. And I've never been able to let go of that. It's always been a cross stuck in my throat. I think it's one of the biggest, not trivial issue in this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the mechanism of control that they're using. It's the most personal. They're getting in your face, literally making you wrap your face up. That is so fucking ridiculous. I can't believe anyone falls for it.
I can't believe
it. And they're claiming that it stops a virus? A Batman mask or an old fish bandana stops a virus? Are you fucking kidding me? On what planet? And people take this seriously. Whoa, it's a mask. No, it's a Harley Davidson bandana. I wouldn't want to see a fireman going into a burning building wearing a Harley Davidson bandana. We're talking about the same thing. God, man. Really? Can you imagine? Like, no, they Scott air packs. It's like, well, yeah, you need like HEPA filtration. You want to like, no, Harley Davidson bandana,
Works just fine.
and the medical exemption is also an outrage that all these people who are supposed to be all about handicapped people and all that ignore the medical exemption to mask. The mask order says, Section 201 or whatever, when medically tolerable. And then it says, I think in Section 18, 201.18, that when a mask is not medically tolerable, you're not allowed to ask them why.
Well,
Right in the executive order.
that's in the order. Well, it's also in that same language as in HIPAA as well.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm aware of that, and so obviously whoever wrote that executive order was referencing the superseding federal statute. Right? A state law cannot be written to contradict the federal law.
Mm.
Which is interesting how they're handling that with cannabis, because cannabis is still on Schedule 1, right?
I don't know. I haven't. I guess on the schedules are the FDA. Yes, I haven't heard about it getting reclassified. Yeah.
Right. I haven't. Me neither. No. No. The anti-hippie law.
Mm-hmm.
Nixon didn't like hippies, so he put pot
it goes
the worst class of drugs.
It goes back to 1933, though. The Tax Act.
Well, that's what created prohibition.
Yeah.
Did they ban cannabis to make sure that people bought liquor?
Maybe. I mean, it creates a black market. It all kinds of profits can be made. More aspirin is sold. More beer is sold.
Right. Yep.
So
well, and now it's becoming legal, and it's an interesting historical marker that after all these years, here's one really. So cannabis is like recreational cannabis now is illegal in New Jersey. So tell me, if it's not a big deal now, why was it a big deal 25 years ago? Why were people being thrown in jail for now? You can go stroll into the store in New Jersey and buy.
Right. It's like, did some moral principle change, or, I don't think it did. I think it was basically the government got just a slightly less fascistic for a moment.
That's arguable. It seems to me so big that you can almost not ascribe a motive to it. Like, so many people used it that it seemed ridiculous to have it be illegal, plus enforcement costs money. Plus, instead of spending money on this ridiculous enforcement, they're making money on taxes and economic movement. Right? So it's a win-win for the government. They know pot is harmless.
Mm-hmm.
Even driving on cannabis is much safer. I'm not advocating it, and I wouldn't do it, but it is much safer than driving drunk. I mean, on cannabis, you would tend to slow down. That's how you get pulled over for smoking pot, is you're going under the speed limit. So people tend to drive more safely, even though it's bad for your attention lapses and things. So they're doing all this enforcement, and it's costing them all this freaking money. And so this is my take. This is my one of them. Plus, the police chief's daughter is smoking the stuff. What's he going to do? Arrest his daughter?
This is an interesting side conversation, but I'd kind of like to, keep this show kind of somewhat focused around.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I mean, it's
a zeitgeisty type of theme.
It's an important. I can't believe that I'm seeing it reaching a high degree of legality in my lifetime. It's amazing the transformation in culture, because it was like,
now so add COVID to that, then all of a sudden the hammer comes down on everything else. Now you can't just go out to the neighborhood bar in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
That's far, far weirder.
Well, it went from a prohibition on cannabis to a prohibition on walking, or or congregating.
Congregating.
Right.
Yeah. Thinking your opinion on Facebook.
Man, I don't know about you, but I mean, you have a more gentle approach. You ask questions rather than make assertions. I think that's a powerful style, but I get beat up really hard on social media. I mean, it's turning around for me. I've seen a change just recently. I'm starting to get like this thing, I feel like I'm starting to get more likes and more favorable responses. But I used to get, when just early on, holy God, man. It's like people would call me you're selfish, you're partly responsible for all those people that died because you walked around without a mask on, because you defied the governor. You thought, you were going to bars even, it's like they want to put all of the blame on us for something that I believe, and I think you might too, believe that it's largely a constructed narrative. It's not something that's observable. It's not observable.
No. It's a story. It's all story, and no part of the story checks out.
And that's perfect. That's so well said. No part of the story checks out. There's like it's like dozens. There's dozens of things. And I know these people, Eric, I can't understand it. Between you and me, okay, well, between you and me and whoever's listening to this, a lot of the people that seem to be really heavily bought into it, there's a political bias. Have you noticed it? It seems to be Democrats. The Democrats are mostly really like defending the narrative, not just believing the narrative, but actually promoting it. And then there's, thankfully, there's Republicans and Trump to some degree. Trump's pushing the vaccines, but I mean, he has been hesitant about this whole thing. And I think that's good. They're trying to. Go ahead.
Well, he canceled the White House injections. I'm getting some slap back on that. Like I can hear myself, Bill.
How about when I kill my mic like this?
Let's see. Much better. Yeah, gone. So you can hear me, right? We're good?
Yeah, I'm just going to put on my headphones. You still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, so were you still...
Where were we?
Well, I don't know. The general thing is I did this foil. If anybody's tuning in right in the middle of this thing, I asked the New York State Department of Health for data on masks. Tell me your data showing that it actually helps to stop the spread of infectious diseases like influenza or COVID, and also that it's safe. Because as far as I know, this is requiring a mass population of people to suddenly start wearing masks. And, you want to kill somebody, you poke a sock down their throat, You poke stuff. You can't say that it doesn't block oxygen. And the people are wearing masks when they're exercising, they're jogging, riding bikes. It's so what I see is, that's what I wanted to turn this down, so hopefully when you talk it doesn't echo. All right. And so many people are buying into it. I can't understand the politics. Why are the Democrats not looking at this logically or scientifically? I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, I'm neither one of them, so I feel like I can look at things more objectively. So many people seem to see things through a highly partisan lens. Have you noticed that?
It's ridiculous. This country has always been politically divided, but this hostility and particularly on an issue that should be a matter of broad public concern, it's ridiculous to see this partisan split.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous, and I have noticed it. It is people who tend to lean toward what is called liberal are much more invested in the issue, and I think more militant about it. And that is not making sense to me. It does not fit the definition of liberal. When you look up the definition of liberal, that's not in there. Nothing like it is in there.
They seem to be arguing for lockdowns. And what is a lockdown? A lockdown is the suspension of civil law and the suspension of civil rights. The Democrats are arguing for fascism. It's like, what the? I just want to, I'm like, what? I thought.
Well, and no due process. Rights have been suspended with no due process. And someone would say, well, but it was for a good cause. Okay, but what if that cause isn't true? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Just because they did it doesn't make it true. Now we have to check and see. Does not take a genius to figure this out.
It doesn't take a genius to figure it out. I feel like I tell people on social media, I'm like, a freaking 8th grader with a basic science education can see this. How come these PhDs? That's the other class, okay? Besides Democrats, it's academics.
Mm-hmm.
And if an academic is a Democrat,
forget it.
Just for, you can pretty much rest assured that they are going to be super promoting masks and vaccines and lockdowns, the suspension of civil law. I always thought, I was taught that fascism came from the right. I never in a million years could have imagined fascism coming from the left, but here it is. Here it is, Eric.
The old C.S. Lewis quote, when fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in the flag and carrying a cross. Turns out, when fascism comes to America, it's going to be wrapped in a lab coat, carrying a hypodermic needle.
Right. Well, wrapped in a, right. Exactly. Say it again. Wrapped in a lab.
Lewis.
Wrapped in a lab coat with a hypodermic
needle.
But also it's going to be wrapped with it's going to be get a vax because Black Lives Matter, or it's going to be wrapped in a rainbow flag. There's going to be some identity politic component to it too,
Wrapped in a rainbow flag.
But I want to encourage people to go look at this posted on Twitter. I'm not going to read it all because it'll take some time. I read it on Richard Giannacchio's radio show, Giannaccio, his radio show earlier today on WHRW. But go look at Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s post of my FOIL request.
It's fabulous.
It goes really deep into, he says the Children's Health Defense, which is his nonprofit, takes no official position for or against masks. But then he goes on to say that, oh my God, it's just amazing. I'm so humbled to get the attention of somebody like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And I feel like this story is really going national. His comments were very poignant. And I'm going to encourage people to go to Instagram. Go find Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on Instagram.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a second. Hold on. I can read his comments.
Okay.
His comments.
If you want to
Is it possible to turn down that monitor in the background?
I thought it was down. You're hearing it through my headphones?
Is that what it is?
Do you still hear it right now?
If I lower my voice, it's not as bad.
Okay. Well, it might be loopy stuff through the phone.
Okay.
The phone line.
All right. Let's see. So you sent this to him, I gather, right?
Well, actually, I know.
I know. Yeah, I get it.
It went through a third party to him, and he saw it, and he was like, "Woo!" He was like, "Red alert!"
Yep. So he posted it to his Instagram. Breaking news, which, by the way, on Planet Waves, that's how I identify jokes. But in the real world, breaking news is breaking news. Children's Health Defense takes no position for or against masks. But RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., John Kennedy's nephew, continues, I do believe that it erodes popular faith in democracy when public officials insist that their arbitrary policies are science-based and yet cannot produce a single study to support their sweeping mandates. This letter illustrates the hazard of abandoning due process. Normally, government health officials cannot implement new laws without notice and comment rulemaking. That process requires the proponents of new rules to do an environmental impact statement and an economic impact statement that accurately predicts all the costs and benefits to the rule change, and a regulatory impact statement and a public comment period that gives public the right to be heard and receive a tailored response, and a trial-like administrative hearing, an actual administrative hearing in which opponents of the rule can examine the agency's experts. Jesus Christmas. And 6, the administrative judge's published decision, you get to see that. And 7, the right to appeal the decision in a law court.
Holy God.
None of that happened. None of that happened prior to the lockdown or the mask mandates. Instead, we received diktats from medical cartel tyrants with no procedural safeguards. They lie to us when they claim the fiats are science-based.
Damn.
We complain. They call us anti-science, anti-social, dangerous, and selfish. I call this species of complaining the duty of a citizen in democracy. Yeah, man.
Holy God. Holy Jesus,
so
man. That's outer space.
Slice of American history, my brother.
That is I have never had one go into outer space before, but that's where that went.
All right, I'm gonna add this to my version of the Facebook post because I got like someone saying, "Well, it doesn't mean they're still not good." I'm like, "No, you're misunderstanding this." What?
Thank you, Bobby Kennedy Jr. God bless you. And Eric, he's working on vaccines. He's working on COVID stuff. He's also doing 5G. Tell me somebody else. Tell me another big attorney that's working on 5G. Well, there's a couple actually that I know.
The guy from Germany might be.
Right.
Who's the one from Germany bringing the class action? I don't know that he is, but it's his type of thing.
Reiner
Fuelmish? Yeah. What is it?
Reiner Fuelmish.
Him.
Yeah.
I get a good vibe off that dude.
Me too. He knows his stuff. That video that got deleted, it was so comprehensive. I like to share that around because he covered. Remember we were talking before about all of the holes. It's easy to see. It's easy to spot this fake narrative. It's not hard. And you and I are talking. There's a whole bunch of them in that video. He covered a lot of them. Do you remember that? I mean, I thought it was really comprehensive.
Which one?
The Reiner Fuelmish video.
Oh, I see. I've seen a couple of them. I think he gives a very coherent presentation on the issues. Mm-hmm. Really, one of the best presenters going around.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was fabulous. You can find that reposted. Like it is on YouTube, reposted by different people, but it's also on BitChute and the standard alternative video sites. And it was called Crimes Against Humanity by Reiner Fuelmish.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, Eric. Well, we've been talking for a while, so
great to join. Great to join you.
Thank you very much for coming on and you're pumping me up and just telling me that you think that this is a super important revelation, and I'm getting confident.
Yeah, it's honestly my personal favorite of the year. It's been a year of just really annoying news stories that keep coming up, and they're each one is more stupid than the next. And now they want you to have sex through the wall, and now you're not allowed to have a friend visit. Blah blah blah, and it's like
it's so ridiculous.
And then the polymerase chain reaction, great story. This was fun baseball in the 7th inning. For that, I thank you.
God bless you, Eric. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for the great conversation. And
I'm going to do the story myself on Planet Waves FM Friday night. Go to planetwaves.net. It'll be right there on Friday night.
God bless you,
Eric.
Eric.
I'm going to lead with this.
You're doing great work, and I mean, you have educated me on the whole Christian Drosten PCR. I really understand that a lot better because of your work. So I want to thank you for the work that you've done on this issue. You've done some really outstanding stuff. So,
Well, most welcome. Happy to help. This is exactly why I'm doing it.
okay, Eric, thanks
Good.
for calling in.
Yeah, Bill,
Okay.
thanks for having me.
Okay.
Bye for now.
See you later. Okay, friends, if you find this, I mean, this is going around the world, this letter. This is going around the world. Literally. So, I just want to do a couple of things here. You know, if you appreciate my work, friends, I really do. I work in the public interest, and I've done this work for a long time. I've done public interest based work for, 20 years, I would say at least. Starting in the 80s, I did a lot of media work in the 80s. I did a lot of work with Broome County Peace Action. That was when we got, anyway, I'm sorry, the 90s. And then, the 2000s, starting with about the 2000s, let's say, Broome County Peace Action, media work. In the 90s, I was doing media work with public access TV, but it was more, the Roby video began in the late 1990s. Okay, that's really when I started doing public service media. And so, I survive on donations and grants, and, COVID has affected everybody. So I really would appreciate donations in any amount. I'm doing leading edge work that nobody else is working on. Stuff like, Constitution Pipeline. Look at all the hours and hours of public hearings that I attended and presented to you. Look at all the work that I did with Seneca Lake. From videos of, protest actions on the line there at the gate to, expert panels and, different presentations. So, the Issues Conference, okay, that was an amazing thing. I got my camera in to record this DEC Issues Conference. You can watch the whole thing. There were some amazing moments. If you do environmental work, it's a great way to learn about the process, like this whole article, or just the whole, maybe an Article 78, or, different ways of legally fighting different regulatory actions. If you go study that video, you can learn a lot. So, bomb trucks, who was out leading on the high pressure, the XNG and the NG Advantage, the high pressure, ultra high pressure, CNG, Type 4, the carbon fiber tubes. Who did the most research on that, especially the safety research that was much ripped off? Who was out there doing that? I think it was maybe me. Endicott, the stink trucks, the leachate dumping operation that was going on with Huron campus. The Endicott battery incinerator. Who blew the lid on the Endicott? I was out there making TV shows 6 months before No Burn Broom existed. Thank God for No Burn Broom and all of the people of Endicott, because I did get a recent FOIL request from the DEC. I need to study it more, but I am getting some indications from some sources inside the DEC that Sunjeel might be DOA. And we can't let down our guard. We have to stay on guard until we hear for sure that they've withdrawn their application. But Sunjeel might be a win. And that, I did a lot of early work on that. I did a lot of sustained work on it. I wasn't the only one, of course. No Burn Broom. A lot of people put in work. People making art like Felix Eddy. And everybody, I'm not going to name everybody. We're not going to try to. Dr. Paul Conant, of course. But I was out there. I was doing it before anybody else was. 5G. Who's leading, who's leading on 5G in this area? I'm one of the leaders in New York. I would say I'm on the leadership team of 5G, the people that are working to fight it or slow it down at least. So I don't need a lot of money. I have a very small budget, but I need $2,500 super urgently. And because I'm 3 months behind in several key bills, including internet. If I lose my internet, I'm going to disappear because my phone's been off for over a month. Really could use donations right now, friends. My P.O. box up there, I can't get access to it, and I might lose it. So that's not good. Really, my PayPal is the only way to send me donations right now. PayPal is it. So I'm just going to put it up there. Okay. And let me turn it on. And I'm going to make this small. Oops. The Robert F. Kennedy Jr. thing. I've never had something go into outer space before, so God bless you, Bobby Kennedy Jr. There's my donate link, okay? tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Huston. Donations in any amount are appreciated. $5. I've gotten $5 donations. Thank you. $10 donations. Thank you. $20 donations. I appreciate every donation. I have gotten $100 donations, $200 donations. The big donations really help, and I have to raise more than I've raised in quite a while. I mean, I can usually raise about $1,000. I need to raise $2,500. I'm way behind in everything, friends. Ideally, I'd like to raise $5,000. If I had $5,000, I'd have a little bit of a buffer. I wouldn't be on the edge the whole time, just struggling to survive. I might have to do some lawsuits. I need a fund that I can use to possibly fund a lawsuit. When I do these FOIL requests, if I don't get responses, I have to file a lawsuit sometimes. And I don't have a budget for a lawyer. So any donations are greatly received, especially large donors right now. If you appreciate my work and, look at, my whole body of my work. I still have. So you can Google Bill Huston's fracking resume and you can see what I've done with my life for the past 10 years or so. My history of public service goes back farther than that. It goes back at least another 10 years. So I would say 20 years. I've been doing, even beyond 20 years, 25 years, because that's when I really got started in independent media. So a long time. I have a long track record of doing quality work, leading edge research, way out in front of everybody else. If you show me that the Sierra Club is taking care of this, I'll step aside and go learn how to play guitar better. I'll find something better to do with my time. If you show me somebody else that's investigating brand new type of high pressure vessels that they're carrying natural gas in bulk, driving on our roads. You show somebody else that's investigating, illegal dumping operations, large scale dumping operations that are dumping solvents into the river. You show me somebody else that's investigating 5G and doing FOIL requests. Show me somebody else that's investigating. Look at, my thing right here with masks, mask orders, COVID-19. So that's it. I'm done begging. I don't like to beg. That's why I'm months behind in everything, because when I do beg, I get people that respond, and I'm so grateful. I've a lot of donors that I super appreciate. that have given me great support over years. I need it now more than ever because I used to be able to self-fund my activist work. I no longer can self-fund my activist work. I need outside support. So anyway, if you appreciate my work, I've done a lot of different kinds of things over 10, 15, 20 years, even beyond 20 years. That's when I did my Roby documentary. I have a long track record. I appreciate donations in any amount. Large donations would be super helpful right now. I have a lot of money to raise. Some $100, $200 donations, maybe more if you can afford more. And the quality of my work, the volume of my work. I've done a lot of different, everything from making maps to doing research to making technical comments. What about my PIR research? You tell me somebody else that was able to calibrate the federal PIR formula, potential impact radius of pipelines. The PIR formula was way out of whack. It was always underestimating the actual impacts. So what good is it? Potential should be an outer bound, not some kind of, I don't know what. It was bad. It wasn't useful. I calibrated it. So I make maps, I do research, I make video. I've been doing video work for, since the mid 1990s. Appreciate you. I appreciate my friends. I appreciate my donors. I appreciate people that send me things. I guess I appreciate my, I guess I appreciate even the people that bring me difficult times, because I guess even those people, difficult people in our lives, are teachers in some way, and it's a call for skillful practice, which I'm not so good at all the time. So thank you, friends. Thank you, Eric Francis Capolino, for calling into the show. I thought your comments were great, and you're a fabulous researcher too. So please donate if you can. tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Huston. When the courts open the eviction courts open, I'm probably gone. So, and that's the first of the year. I really need help, friends, and there's nobody else doing this work. Show me one nonprofit. That's not the Sierra Club that's doing it. The Sierra Club, you got to pull them. And they're fighting you. The Sierra Club fights you while you're trying to drag them along, whether it's fracking or bomb trucks or anything. They're not leading edge. They let the frontline activists do all the work, and they don't really support us. I have received some small funding from the Sierra Club over a 10-year period. It's not been zero, but it's been extremely minimal. But so that they use our work, they use us, our bodies, to do the work. And then eventually they come around and they take the credit for it, and they do the fundraising around it. It's just like this thing with Sunjeel. The Sierra Club just came out and asked for an EIS, and they gave credit to No Burn Broom. They gave credit to the Sierra Club, No Burn Broom, and they even gave credit to it used to be Binghamton Regional Sustainability Coalition. It's got a new name. I don't remember. It didn't do jack shit. Okay? Everybody gets credit except for the guy was way out in front of everybody. I was calling Donna Lupardo daily at some points, asking for an EIS. I did the hot mic. Remember the hot mic video? Asking Donna for an EIS? Okay, friends, I'm tired of begging. I don't like begging. I don't like tooting my own horn, but if nobody toots my horn, who will? So I guess I have to get better at doing my own PR work. hit me up with a donation if you can, friends. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of my friends, all donations, any amount. And I appreciate people that send me things too. Send me cool tidbits that turn into stories and ideas. Okay, I'm out of here. Be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube. Bill Huston Podcast Channel on YouTube. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.